Okay, this is week 3 lecture summary for bu1003, bu1903. We want to cover 3 points here. We want to cover. We want to first we want to use the supply and demand diagram to look at the price, flow, and price setting. Secondly, we want to incorporate text into supply and demand diagram, and then conduct some welfare analysis, looking at the producer surplus and consumer surplus. Okay, first point. So let's look at labor market. So in labor market, the price is just the wage rate of labor. Quantity is just number of workers. So we have demand curve, demand for labor by firms, downward sloping, supply curve, supply of workers by household, supplies of labor by workers. So without any intervention, government intervention, the equivalent wage rate is WO, equivalent quantity is LO. Okay, suppose now there's a government intervention. Let's say, okay, further suppose this is $10. Wage rate is $10 per hour. Now, there's government intervention say that, okay, wage rate cannot be less than $5 per hour, which means $5 per hour here. This policy is not binding. And because it does not affect the market equilibrium. Or in other words, the equivalent wage rate is $10 per hour, which is already higher than the $5 per hour. So it is not binding. If rather than $5 per hour, I said the wage rate cannot be lower than $15 per hour. Now, must be higher than $15 per hour. Now, this minimum wage policy is binding because it affects equilibrium, market equilibrium. Market equilibrium. To see this at a wage rate of $15 per hour, firms are only willing to hire L1 workers. In contrast, workers are willing to households are willing to supply L2 workers. So now there are this many workers, or which is excess supply, who want to find a job but couldn't find a job. So there's unemployment. L2 minus L1 workers who want to find a job but couldn't find a job. And we call this price. This is price floor. So the government regulation that the price of the market price cannot be less than a certain levels. Similarly, we can have price setting. For example, let's look at this ice cream market. So we have demand, supply. Without the government intervention, so equivalent wage, equivalent price, equivalent quantity. If government says that okay, the price of the ice cream it cannot be higher than this level, this is $2 per ice cream, then clearly this is not binding. This price setting is not binding. Because the equivalent price is already higher than $2 per ice cream. However, if I say you cannot sell the ice cream at sorry, I make mistake, so ignore my previous arguments for the price setting. So rather than, I'm going to repeat now. So okay, suppose that I'm the government, I say that the price of ice cream cannot be higher than this level, say $10 per ice cream. And now this is not binding because the equivalent price is already less than $10 per ice cream. However, if I say the price of ice cream cannot be higher than $2, then this is binding. This minimum wage this price setting is binding as it affects the market equilibriums. So given that is the price of ice cream is at $2, producers are willing to supply this many. However, consumers are willing to demand to buy this many, so there are shortage, excess demand here. Okay, that's price setting. The more frequent way that government regulate the market is not through price floor or price setting. In contrast, it's through this tax. For example, let's say this is a market for, again, let's say ice cream. Before tax, we have demand curve list, supply curve list, equivalent price, suppose $3 ice cream, equivalent quantity. Okay, now if the government decide to impose a $1 per ice cream tax, how can we incorporate this tax into the supply and demand diagram? there are two ways. First, okay, suppose let me change another color. Suppose tax is imposed on producer, and you can think that this hypothetical shift supply curve upward or to the left, hypothetically. Okay, hypothetically. So for example, before tax, to produce the first ice cream, the actual cost is this many. However, because now you gotta pay $1 tax, so the actual cost will be this many. Similarly, for the second unit, previously the actual cost of producing the second unit this many, now it's this many, so on and so forth. So you can think that there's a hypothetical shift of the supply curve, and by the amount of tax. Okay. An easier way and more straightforward is to put a tax into the supply demand diagram is by saying that this tax drive a wedge between supply and demand to the left, on the left side, which is left side of this equilibrium. Okay, let me use red one. So tax rate is $1. This is $1. $1 drive equilibrium, a drive a wedge between the supply and demand on the left. So which means that the equivalent quantity is this many. Consumer pay a price of this many. However, producer receive a price of this many producer price, with the difference between the tax rate. Okay, so that's how to incorporate tax into supply and demand diagrams. And the easiest way is to think that tax drive wedge on the left hand side of the equilibriums. And certainly it could, one question for you guys, it could, some policy could drive a wedge on the right hand side of the supply, between supply and demand. And what is this? It's actually we call the substate. Okay, I won't talk about this, but if you are interested in, you can have a look by yourself. All right, in terms of tax, another question of interest is that who will share a bigger tax burden? Back to our list, ice creams. We see that before tax, consumer pays $3. After tax, they pay PC dollars. So the share of consumer is this many. For producers, before tax they receive $3. After tax they receive PP dollars. So the burden to the producers is this many, and the way I draw is more or less that producer and the consumer shares 1/2 of the tax burden. However, such share really depends on elasticity of supply and demand. Or elasticity. When we saying the supply curve or the demand curve is elastic, we say that it's flat. The curve. Let me look. Let's go. I'm gonna go through extreme cases. So now, suppose in the again in the ice cream market. Suppose these ice creams is very elastic or perfectly elastic, which means this horizontal. So that's demand curve. So a horizontal demand curve means that if the price increased by an infinitesimally small amount, all consumers are going to walk away. Demand will drop to zero. If price decreased by a very small amount, demand increased by infinity. So suppose this $3. So in these cases, consumers are very sensitive to the price change. Intuitively, we should think that given that consumers are very sensitive, the tax burden will force more on producers. Actually, in these cases, it's going to fall 100% on the producers. So that's producer. So before tax, equivalent price is $3. Equivalent quantity is let me call this 100. So 100 ice creams in the market. So this tax rate drive a wedge between supply and demand by the amount of tax rate, which is $1. Quantity drop to 50, let's say. So now this is $2. So that difference is $1. That's the tax rate. So in these cases, consumers still pay a $3 of ice cream. So before tax, consumer price is equal to producer price. Consumer payer price is the same as the producer payer price, is $3. After the tax, so consumer still pay a $3. Producer receive $2. The difference between them is the tax. So now we see that producer share 100% of tax burden. So this particular case where consumers is perfectly elastic, the demand is perfectly elastic, then producers share 100%. And you can do an exercise to look at different cases. For example, demand might be perfectly inelastic, and it could be supply is perfectly elastic or perfectly inelastic. You can do the exercise by yourself. Alright, so that's how to incorporate tax into the supply and demand diagram. The supply and demand diagram can also be used to conduct welfare analysis. So let's look at demand. Say again, demand for beer. Let's say. So this demand curve tells us information about consumers' maximum willingness to pay. For example, for first beers, I'm willing to pay $20. For the second beers, because I already have one beer in hand, so my willingness to pay dropped, maybe $18, so on and so forth, so on and so forth. Okay. Suppose the price of beer is $5 per bottle, demand is 10. So for the first beers, I'm willing to pay this beer at $20. I actually pay it. I'm willing to pay this many. I actually pay this many. So there's surplus associated with this one. Okay. Similarly, for the second beer, I'm willing to pay this many. I actually pay this many, $5. So there's a surplus as well. For third one, fourth one, until the 10th one, the surplus is there. So adding up, we call this consumer surplus. So consumer surplus this is the difference between their maximum to pay and the price they actually pay. Okay, in terms of diagram, is the area. Below demand curve and above price they pay, consumer pays. Is this triangle? This green triangle. Okay, so that's consumer surplus. Producer surplus. Again, this is beer market. Supply curve. This supply curve also tells us the marginal cost of production or actual cost of producing extra unit of beer. Yeah. For example, for the first unit, extra cost is this many. Second unit, the extra cost is this many. Third unit, the extra cost is this many. So on and so forth. Okay, suppose the price is of beer is $5 and 10. So for the first beers, extra cost is this many. However, extra cost is this many. I'm selling this beer in the market at this many. So there's surplus of selling first beer. Similarly, for the second beer, the extra cost is this many. However, I'm selling this unit at this many dollars, $5. So there's a surplus as well. Similarly for the third one, fourth one, fifth one, until 10th one. So adding up, we call this producer servers. Producer servers is the difference between the cost, the actual cost or marginal cost of producing beer and the price they receive, a firms receive. In terms of diagram, is the area below price firms receive, and above supply curve is this triangle. Area below the price, above the supply curve, that's the producer servers. So now let's put the demand together with the supply. That's the equivalent. And we know that producer server is this area, this triangle. Consumer servers is this. So summing up, we call this total server. Total servers is producer servers, consumer servers plus producer servers is equal to this green triangle plus this purple triangle. Okay, in the free market, if there's no externalities, then this free market, in this free market we have the maximum total surplus, which is a measure of society's welfare. Okay, that's all for this week.